Welcome back to Rubbin'minds. Our conversation moves to the youth, and when it comes to their habits online, what are the young people consuming? When we look at what trends in Nigeria, it usually has to do with something very frivolous or a relationship breakdown, something happening to people. And when it comes to the serious matters, the ones that have the potential to affect our destinies, the comment section is very, very empty. The numbers are very low. And that begs the question, what interests, what excites the Nigerian youth? To answer this question, amongst others, I have with me Folu Ogunshilu, a digital marketer. Welcome to Rubbin'minds.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And also joining us is Ayodele Bello, a media strategist and blogger.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, both of you, this is your terrain, the digital world. And I would ask, when it comes to trending, when was the last time you've seen something serious, something important, something that has the potential to affect Nigerian youth for the better trend? Or do you see more of the negative trend? I'll start with you, Folu.
All right, thank you very much. When we talk about important conversations in this country, it's hard for an average person to say, this is what's important to me, and the next person agrees, because our context can be very different. When we look at it statistically, we say we are 200 million, but of these 200 million, over 100 of these 200 are living under the poverty line. So even in the common bus that you journey together, you are thinking something else. Another person is speaking from another perspective. So what's important to us is quite different. So when we relate that to the state of the nation, it's a very different conversation every time that we ask, oh, okay, so what are we talking about politically? What's going on here? And you say, oh, this is what matters. And somebody's telling you, he's my guy, because he's from my tribe. I think he should do this. When we should be talking about, is he going to deliver what we ask him to do?
I'll pose the same question to you, Ayodele.
Okay, so for me, I think Nigerian youth really like to engage on frivolities, conversations that brings no profit, that brings no development to to our nation. And it's so sad that most times Nigerian youth, we youth, we engage in such conversations, and at the end of the day, that is just basically how unserious, the level of our unseriousness. It shows on our leaders, the kind of people we put in power. And it's just as simple as ABC. And that is why we see most of the things that happens, in our society, the way our leaders treat us, is just because of our level of unseriousness. So assuming we have followers that are serious when it comes to nation building, of course, it's going to reflect on, most of our leaders. So most of this social media thing that we use, those Western countries that all those things came from, we see how they use it. It's not that they don't use, they don't involve themselves in all these other social vices, internet bubbling and all like that, but they still make sure that they use it when it comes to nation building. But are we doing that in our own country? No.
I want to steer the conversation to the bloggers. Is it a chicken and egg situation? Are the bloggers giving the Nigerian youth what they want or what they think will give them good numbers, or are the blogs taking that responsibility to ensure that they are disseminating information that will help the youth?
To respond to that question, at the end of the day, bloggers are also citizens. So they have a responsibility to push certain news. Also, at the same time, we understand that media can be controlled, and it's largely controlled. So while we say, okay, yes, they push these things to get their numbers, at the same time, there's a responsibility that they carry as a citizen to push out the right thing. But given that a lot of times, like I said earlier, the state of mind of a lot of Nigerian youth, is not where it should be. The focus is not there. So when you say, oh, governor, or rather like the recent news about the president increasing the salaries, while we just talked about saving fuel subsidy, you get that reaction there, and you're now talking about, oh, okay, this is what the government is also planning to do on this end. When as a blogger, you see the reactions, you want more of what is working. So yeah, that's what usually happens.
So you're only feeding people what will give you the numbers, the virality, the likes, the follows, at the altar of credible, useful, positive, nation-building information, for lack of a better word.
I mean, like you said, you know, it's a business, and I appreciate the fact that you use the word blogger, because they are not journalists, just like, I mean, what you're doing and myself, right? You know, so blogging on its own, on its own, it's a way of, you know, pushing a narrative that you want people to talk about, right? And it's like a clickbait. You just want that clickbait. Like, okay, oh, this thing is trending. Let us push this thing. We want them to, you know, keep the conversation rolling, right? You know, it's just like we media, you know, when we want to, you know, set an agenda, right? We have a way of, you know, pushing a narrative, or, I mean, telling a news story, right? But bloggers, you know, went ahead to, they go further to expand, you know, issues like, you know, any particular issue. They expand it, and all because they just want to get a clickbait and make people, you know, keep the conversation, you know, in the society. But at the same time, we still need to understand that most of the bloggers that we have in Nigeria, everybody wants to get money for themselves. So it is not about what is going to benefit the nation or the Nigerian citizen. It is what is going to benefit them as an individual. And that is the mindset that needs to change. And when you're talking about bloggers, we're talking about individuals that also have followers, right? And it is sad that these people don't really talk about issues that is going to shape our country in a better way. That we engage the youth to talk about things that is going to bring, you know, profit in nation building. Just of recent, we are talking about, just like he started an example. We are talking about fuel subsidy. Just by January, we've been told that 5% tax will be added to the purchase of PMS at the front. No, Nigerians are not. Nigerians, you don't even understand. How many of them do even read these things? They don't know. But now, they are, instead of them to, you know, to be talking about this thing that is going to affect everyone, they are busy talking about University of Gigi. Wisdom and knowledge. I mean, that says a lot of how Nigerian youth, you know, how we engage in frivolities rather than things that is going to, you know, transform our lives personally and also transform, you know, the political landscape of our nation.
Do you think, Folu, that the blogs or the social media influencers, the content creators, should take that responsibility as, you could say, maybe a continuation of the media, that even when money is not coming in, they have a moral obligation to the people they are serving, considering just the sheer amount of power and influence they have?
Like you just said, given the sheer amount of power they wield, like I said earlier, at the core of it, they are citizens. As a citizen, you should have the interest of the country at heart. So while you might not be able to force people to vote, or take them to the polling booth, you can convince them with the content. So, I mean, you might not be all news of that sort, but prioritize that kind of news in your blogging.
So even if they're going to take a cut or a hit to their bottom line,
at the end of the day, when it gets better for you too. So I think we have to invest in the long run. Understand that whatever you do at the end of the day, it benefits you. When you look at it from that perspective, you prioritize those kind of things more. Breaking it down to the common man to make him understand what these policies and acts mean for them.
Do you think the government needs to come in here, where we've seen what happened in television, radio, where local content became a thing? So instead of seeing the Mexican and Brazilian soap operas, you're now seeing Nigerian productions. Is that the same thing that we should be expecting from the government when it comes to that online space? Ensuring that certain amount of content, a percentage, is devoted to conversations on nation building?
Well, I think they don't need to tell us before we do what we're supposed to do. An American is not going to come to Nigeria and fix a country for us. It is we Nigerians that are saddled with the responsibility of fixing our nation by ourselves. Just like I said before, all these influences that we have in Nigeria, if you look at them, you look at the numbers they have in terms of followership. How many of them are really talking and using their platform about talking about Nigerian issues? Now, I'm going to set an example. For example, a very black dark man. Just yesterday, there is this issue going on, trending online about kidnapping that happened in Auchi Road while it was, was just going. And this guy went on live. He was making videos, making Nigerians to see what is going on. Like, Nigerian is drowning on daily basis. And this guy has been doing, great jobs. Not just only him. We have the likes of Randy Peters. We have the likes of Mama P. We have so many of them. When you get into Nollywood, we have the likes of Iyabojo. We have the likes of Biola Adebayo, Biola Bayo. Like, so many of them, they are using their platforms, to talk about, ills, the illness in our society, right? But we still have many of our Nigerian youth and influencers that have followership and they have numbers. I'm going to mention names. We have the likes of Pella. Just imagine someone like Pella is talking about the illness in our society, using his platform. Look at Jarvis. We have them, so many of them, that they have this followership. They have this strength. But, okay, now,
But doesn't that beg the question of our values as a people? If we have values on trust, on accountability, honesty, on building a nation, those values, who is helping online and offline to preserve those values, especially with the younger ones coming up?
I hope that this phrase is correct, but I will refer to social engineering. When the government invests in that manner. I grew up learning history in primary school, and to a very great deal, that's given me a perspective of what my country looks like. It used to look like, where we are coming from and where we should be heading. So I think that maybe not the government investing in social re-engineering, but institutions, businesses looking into that, perhaps as CSR, organizing funds the way these media houses or rather media brands like YouTube do. If there is something like that, so people of such, bloggers, do not have to bother too much about income, and they can prioritize this kind of education. Talking about the names you mentioned, doing this kind of social awareness, it can be a bit overwhelming for their viewers. But when we look at YouTube creators, there's a booming industry in that sense now. They can pass messages. It's the same way a lot of us grew up with rhymes to learn about AIDS and all of those kind of things. When we pass it educatively in that manner, I think that the goal can be achieved.
Okay. Any final words, because we're out of time?
Okay. So as for me, I would like to say that Nigerians need to do more. We need to do more, especially those who have done numbers. That's followership strength, to talk about issues that are trending. I mean, issues that concerns development. I think if we do that more, then our leaders will take us serious, because it's because of our unseriousness. That is why we have most of the leaders that are in power. I mean, unserious people that are in power right now. So if we citizens are serious, of course they will sit up.
So this is a call out to those with the numbers and the followership to use their influence for nation building.
Exactly.
And that way we're taken seriously as a demographic, young people, by our leaders, and we can bring about that change. Important. Thank you very much, Adele Bello, and thank you very much, Folu Ogunshinu.
Thank you very much. Is it fine to add?
Okay, maybe 30 seconds.
Yeah, just like you mentioned, personnel like this, or big people like this, I think it's also important to add that businesses have to invest in these things, because at the end of the day, what business are you doing if the purchasing power is reducing?
Yeah.
As an individual, as a citizen, ensure to join organizations that can help you do your part in this journey. Yeah. There are a lot of organizations out there. JCI is one of them. There's a lot I could be mentioning right now, but importantly, as a citizen, we have a responsibility.
Yes, we do.
I guess the call out has been extended to businesses, to organizations, CSOs, to take dissemination of nation-building information a whole lot seriously, and for us as the people to take ourselves seriously even in what we consume online.